Hello everyone, welcome to another Tutoring Pros video. In this video, we're going to be going over a few SAT tips and tricks to help you maximize your score. Maximizing your score and getting every single point is so important when you're taking the SAT. With the SAT only 3 days away, October 1st, 2022, I thought this would be the perfect time to make a video like this. The purpose of this video is not to be some kind of last-minute crash course or 6-hour long study session. This is meant to be something you watch the night before the exam so that you keep these ideas fresh in your mind and you maximize the score that you get. Because of the way the SAT is set up, strategy is a huge part of it. The SAT is structured and worded in a specific way, so understanding how it's worded and how you can decode certain questions helps tremendously. By the end of this video, you will have a better understanding of how the SAT is structured, how people do well on the exam, and certain tips and tricks to help you raise your score. Now, before I get started with the 5 tips and tricks for the SAT, please make sure to smash the like button below if you haven't already, and subscribe to the channel so that you can get more videos to boost your SAT and ACT score. So now that you're a subscriber, let's get started with tip number 1. Eliminating the wrong answer choices. When it comes to eliminating answer choices, you have to be very careful that you don't eliminate the right answer choice. You have to be cautious about the approach that you take whenever you make the decision. You're going to start eliminating some answer choices. The way that we prevent eliminating the wrong answer is first you have to read the question and understand what it's asking. Try to come up with an answer on your own first. That should always be the first approach. And then if you don't get the exact answer, that's when you start using the technique of eliminating answer choices. One of the biggest mistakes made when students are trying to eliminate answer choices is they end up eliminating all of the answer choices. So if this happens to you, the problem is not that there's no answer or that none of the options are correct. The problem is that you didn't fully understand what the question was asking, and you need to go back and reread the question. Moving on to tip number 2, which is getting a good night's sleep. We all know what it's like to not get a good night's sleep. The next day we're usually groggy, tired, low on energy, and genuinely not at our best. This is why it's really important that the night before the SAT, you get as much and the best sleep that you possibly can. This has a huge impact on your score at the end of the day, because when you're attentive and you're on it, you're going to be getting the most answers correct. An article from PsycPost tells us that sleep-related factors explains almost 25% of the variance in college students' academic performance. This is insane. The fact that just by getting a good night's sleep, you can raise the grades in your classes by 2.5 grades on average. This is why sleep is so important, and the night before a big exam like the SAT, it's so essential to get a good night's sleep. Tip number 3 is that you don't have to do the questions in order. Now, when I say not to do the questions in order, I don't mean to start at the back of the test and work your way backwards. I mean to use strategic thinking to order the test in a specific way where you're able to knock out all of the easy questions before getting stuck and spending too much time on a hard question. If we scroll through this section 3 of the SAT, you'll see that questions 1 through 15 are all multiple choice. As we progress through 1 through 15, the questions slowly get harder as we go through specifically numbers 1 through 15. However, when we get to number 16, the level of difficulty resets, and then now we're starting at an easy question that will progressively get harder again. This means that if you're on any question between numbers 10 and 15 and you're stuck and having trouble, I suggest you skip over to number 16 because this will be an easy question. Typically, numbers 16 and 17 are considered easy. Tip number 4 is for the reading section specifically, and this is to read the answer choices and the questions before you go and you read the passage. If you're like me when I was in high school and have trouble with the reading portion of the SAT, I highly recommend this strategy. If you read the questions and the answer choices before you go and you read the actual passage, you will know what key details to look for in the passage. By reading the answer choices first, you're keeping the end in mind, as the overall goal of the SAT is to answer the questions correctly. Before we move on to the 5th tip, once again, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. It helps push out my videos to more people, and if you want to support the channel, the best way to do that is to subscribe down below. And finally, tip number 5 is to make sure that you answer every single question. The reason why you want to answer every single question is because there's no penalty for getting questions wrong. If you answer a question and you get it wrong, this does not bring down your score at all. However, if you get the question right, which there's a 25% chance that you will if you guess it completely, then you will get that extra point. Back when I took the SAT in 2014, College Board used to deduct 1/4 of a point for every question that you got wrong. This would cause students to plan or strategize how they were going to guess on questions. On this SAT coming up, this is not going to be an issue. That's why it's very important to make sure that you answer every single question to maximize the score that you end up getting. And that was the 5 SAT tips that I had for you today. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel so that you can raise your SAT and ACT scores. I'll see you in the next one.